Okay, at this time
I
then,
do have one other motion to amend the agenda, sir, if that's permissible.
okay, what do you have?
I would move to just swap items 9.1 and 9.2. I think it makes more sense to discuss 9.2, the parking fee policy, before the request for access. And also, as part of my motion, I would request to add item 9.8 to discuss the Cenergistic contract that's going to be up for renewal at the end of this fiscal year, at the end of June. So that would be 9.8.
Would that need to be, and speaking about their contract, would that need to be an action item, or would that need to be a information item?
I think action would be appropriate if the board decides to delay action. I think we can table the matter, sir.
Okay,
But my motion is to add it as 9.8 to the action agenda.
okay, I just wanted
Yes, sir.
just to clarify. Okay, board members, did you see the changes and then the addition that Mr. Cordero has added or made a motion on? Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor of that change, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Did I miss something?
Oh, wait, no, we have the
Yep.
Synergistic.
I apologize.
I was about to,
Thank you, Mr. McPherson.
yeah,
Thank you. This time we asked Cenergistics to come forward, and that we do need to hear.
I just had some questions for staff on this, Mr. Chair, if that's
For
appropriate.
the Synergistics,
Yes, sir.
that's fine. Where are they at? Okay.
Well, I don't think they're here. I think it's.
They are.
I'll do my best to answer your questions, but Mr. Smith,
Go
our
ahead.
energy specialist, is also here in order to
Okay.
answer questions that may come up. I mean, I did not ask him to come. He comes to several of our meetings, but hopefully I can answer the
excellent.
questions. But if you need to ask him, he's here for those.
Thank you. Regarding the contract, as I understand it, the district pays a fee in amounts of 50% multiplied by the total savings per month, and that Synergistic shall submit performance fee billing statement to the district for each month during that fee period. So essentially what we're doing is we're saying there is a baseline of energy usage,
Yes, sir.
and whatever Synergistics does to make that go down, we're going to pay them half of that difference. Do I understand that right?
That is correct, sir.
Yeah.
Based on current costs.
Is it, are you the Synergistics rep? Okay, would you mind coming up? Thank you. I didn't realize you were going to be here this evening, so.
Try and be present for any questions you might have.
Sure, absolutely. I appreciate that. And so what is the baseline energy
The school
level
year from
that you're using?
2017 to 2018 school year is our baseline.
Okay,
Is the year before our performance contract started.
okay. Excellent.
So just to clarify for you.
Yes.
The base year begins July of 2017, runs through June of 2018.
Right.
There was a 6-month quick start where basically we came in and we started doing things, and you had 6 months with no billing of us implementing stuff. And then the performance year 1 began on January 1st, 2019.
Okay, got it. Based on the electric expense reports, and Mr. Taylor, you might be able to shed some light on this, but based on the electric expense reports that we received that are in our information agenda, we spent about, at least last year, $1.86 million on electricity. And we are, if you analyze the rate that we've spent money with Synergistics this year, are going to basically spend about $750,000 or $750,000 paying Synergistics. So that is about almost half of what we spend entirely on energy. So, and I just want to make sure that my fundamental understandings about this program are correct. So basically what we're saying is that basically where we were before we started this program, we have cut our energy consumption in half, almost in half, like 40%. Is that right?
Again, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the thing that you said was our electricity cost is 1.6 million.
Right.
Our total utility cost is about 2.7 million,
Okay.
I believe.
And so what are we
That's a
monitoring?
rough again, that's a rough number.
Are we monitoring natural gas and water?
Correct. Natural gas, water, propane, fuel.
Have we implemented the water part of this at every school? I thought we had previously discussed that it hadn't been implemented at every school, the water part.
The water, he
Do
monitors.
we pay for
our-
water?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay.
Pender County Utilities, Town of
Wanna make sure.
Burgall.
Flores, town of, we have four different vendors for water and sewer.
Okay.
So on the contract that I seen, it said, and I believe Dr. Hill signed this, that they opted not to do the water conservation.
That's what I had thought too. So,
Now you're telling me we are, is that right?
I'm not familiar with an opt-out on the water portion. I'm happy to look at that.
Yep.
I have a copy of the contract, so I can look at that, get back to you in a day. I'm not familiar with this. There's never been any talk. Now, I will say that I was not present at the time of the signing of the contract. I'm a second energy specialist. At the time that the contract was started, there was a different employee in this role.
Correct.
So I was at the beginning of the startup of the program. I wasn't here, so I don't know if, about any of those discussions at the start of the contract. I can tell you, since I've been on board, that's the first I'm hearing about there being a opt-out on the water conservation portion. I do track water leaks, and I find and report water leaks and that kind of thing, and work with the maintenance supervisor about irrigation schedules and that kind of thing. So we have been implementing water. Now, if that's something that needs to be taken that isn't in the contract, it's been opted out of the contract, that's a different discussion.
Okay, thank you.
The idea, sir, the idea for the fee schedule for this contract is that you're not paying anything out of pocket. The idea is if we don't save you money, the company's not going to pay.
I understand that, but to the extent that staff is not auditing your work, we're basically relying on you, a for-profit company, to tell us that we've saved this amount of money and you give us half, right? So understand my skepticism. I want to see the data, and so my next request was going to be, can we have copies of all these performance fees billing reports for the past year? I want to see that data.
Sure.
Okay.
Because if staff has already analyzed this, please tell me.
Sure,
hope you
I look at every month statement that comes to my office before I sign it, because my name goes on it. So yes, sir, I review it. We have discussions regarding water leaks, things that he catches, him having communications with Duke Energy or any other utility commission to make sure that the meters were read properly, and all those things are happening. So yes, I believe that those performance statements that I get each month are correct and accurate.
Okay.
And I would like to add, sir, that the software that's being used is not our company's software. It is a third-party, non-affiliated software. So we use a program called Energy Cap that we enter our bills into that, and that's what projects our savings information and gathers all that data. So that is not a company-owned. That's not solely under Cenergistic's wheelhouse. That is being sourced out to a third-party, and the school district pays the license fee for that. So really, they're your.
Right.
And the additional consideration regarding that, Mr. Cordero, is, or any members of the board, it's based on unit cost or unit usage, not cost, sorry. That's the calculation for savings, but the unit usage is what's calculated in the ECS system and monitors it, and they can print out those performance reports for us. And that's why it's so easy for them in the M&V group out in Texas to print those reports. And an annual update was provided in September. I would like to have a pair of their representatives meet with the committee at the end of this month, and hopefully have a June presentation, which would be several months earlier. But I think it's important with the turnover of the board that you have an annual update and you see where we've come from since the 2017-18 school year.
That would be much appreciated. In addition to the performance fees billing statements, I would appreciate that very much.
And we keep those in our documents.
The reason why I bring this up is this is a 5-year contract,
Yes, sir.
and we have to provide 60 days notice if we're going to choose to terminate this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I just want us to be very deliberate about that this is a very beneficial and worthwhile relationship. If we're paying this company $750,000 a year,
Yes, sir.
to save us energy, that we're going to continue to do that and not just let the contract renew because we didn't do anything. So just understand that's where I'm coming from.
Absolutely. And
Mr. McPherson, I don't know,
the contract would not renew.
Have you read this contract?
I have.
Does it go to a month-by-month basis after the 5 years? I couldn't find that in the contract, and I apologize.
It lapses, sir.
Okay.
With the renewal, then
We
you
have to execute a new
renegotiate.
contract then?
No, sir. We're not obligated to do
So it's on a month-by-month then?
No, once it comes to December 21st, 2020, or December 31st, 2023, if you don't renew the contract, I pack up my stuff and I leave.
Okay,
That's how that works.
got it.
Now-
So, and what is the renewal term?
So the renewal term typically is 3 years, but it can be renegotiated. Now, please understand, I am not a corporate,
I
I am not
understand
the
you don't
corporate
speak to
guy,
the
so
renewal
I
term.
cannot tell you about the contract,
Yeah.
the ins and outs of the contracts. But typically, it's a 3-year renewal, and it moves from a performance-based to a fixed fee, so that there's not that that expectation.
Fluctuation.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
It moves to a fixed fee and so that any additional the idea is every year that we do this, we should be saving more money, right?
So we don't have to make this decision until December, is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay, great. So we've got 4 or 5 months to get some data together, so that gives you plenty of time.
sir.
I was worried that we had to do it in July, and so I was mistaken in my understanding of that. So I just want to make sure that we're spending, taxpayer money wisely and that this is a mutually beneficial relationship. I'm not saying it's not, but if we could get like the annual presentation, if we could get some of these fee billing statements sent to the board so we could look at them, I think that would be very helpful.
Absolutely. I have all those saved. I will give you this fiscal year, school year, if that's what you would like. But we can go back further.
Perfect, yeah. And
I can give you as much
if
information.
I have any questions after I review
Sure.
initially what you send to me, then I'll just communicate with you.
Sounds great. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Can I make a comment for you?
Absolutely.
One thing I'd just like to point out is, I've been here almost 4 years now, and my goal every day is just to help the students. I understand we have concerns about how the buildings are run. We have concerns about the health of our students in them. My priority every day, and I think Mr. Taylor would agree, is whenever I'm having conversations with him, I'd say 7 or 8 times out of 10, the conversations I'm having with him are not about how can we save more money or this is going to save us money. It's more about this is going to improve the health of our buildings, mainly moisture reduction, mainly CO2 levels, those kind of things. And I think that it's been a valuable partnership. Obviously, it's what I do. But I think it's been a valuable partnership to help get us to a better place than where we were. We still have more work to do, especially we live in a swamp. We have about as much moisture as we can get. So I think there's still more that we can do. But I think that it's been productive so far, and I think it's still a ways to go. And I would say that I'm happy. Actually, I would ask any questions that you guys have. Please bring them to me. I am more than happy. Any information that you need to make an informed decision, I'm happy to provide you.
Do you as board members have his contact information?
I don't. I'd like to ask you, are you the one that advised Mr. Taylor on the set points for the thermostat?
It's not, he didn't, sir. That's a
didn't.
standard operating procedure
Okay.
from Cenergistics, which has been around for years. Ever since the start of the company, they've operated on a concept of a 55 to 85 set point, depending upon the season in which those set points are implemented.
Okay.
We have amended the set points in our school system because we do have facilities that have envelopes that aren't as sound as they ought to be. For example, it just happens.
So one example is my first year here. One of the things I did was I spent a lot of time in the buildings during the unoccupied hours, which I still do, but I was looking at monitoring temperature and humidity. And I was finding areas that couldn't handle that high of a set point, for example, if we're talking summertime. So an example is like at Burgon Middle School, we have those huts. Those huts are so poorly insulated that it takes them a really long time to cool down after we get them up that high. So those set points I reduced down to 80 degrees. So now they don't get up that high. One of the other things I'd like to mention is just over the summer, that's the majority of my job focus, kind of shifts to moisture management and dealing with tracking our humidity and our temperatures. Most of our schools are not getting above 80 during any period at all. We're not getting up there because we do hold. And every day we run, in the areas that are unoccupied, every day we run a 3-hour cycle, AC cycle, to bring the humidity down. And the more heat that we have in the building, the longer that AC will run, and the better we dry out the building in that case.
Is there any other questions, comments, board members?
I have
We'll be glad to provide Mr. Smith's contact information to each of you.
Yes, please. I'm available to you 24/7.
I'm seeking feedback at this point, but I would like to maybe explore one of the lingering issues that I have with this is, you're telling us that we're saving this based on a baseline that was, gathered 7, or you said what was it?
17, 18.
17, 18, okay, so yeah, 5 years ago,
Sure.
okay? How do we know that's still the case, right? HVAC systems have become more efficient, lights have become more efficient, a variety of different things, right? So we might be attributing an efficiency to you, Cenergistics, that is not associated with you at all. It's associated with the fact that we use different light bulbs, that we have more efficient HVAC systems.
So we account for that. We back those savings out. Whenever Mr. Glenn, the maintenance supervisor, provides me with, hey, we just updated the lights at Burgon Middle School. We take what the light bulb was, what the light bulb is, and we reduce, and then the third-party program we use automatically backs that amount out every month.
Thank you very much. That's very helpful.
And
on those performance models, you'll see a negative.
Correct.
That's where we actually recruit funds
Got it.
for those type situations,
Correct.
specialty situations.
And then the only other question I would have is if in order to test the hypothesis that we are, saving money with this system, would it be possible to change the contract such that we could maybe do a test school that's not part of the program to see if that school, or maybe even a couple of buildings, or if you could explore that with the vendor, that might be helpful to know if that's an option in our contract renewal, if that makes sense. So instead of just saying, hey, in December we're going to sign up for another 3 years, for every single building and every single school, if we could maybe do a test case of let's segregate a certain number of buildings and see if we don't use Cenergistics on these buildings, does the energy consumption really go up 100%? Because based on the data and what we're paying them, it should go up 100%.
Well, thinking about that, yes, but there's been a culture change, correct? Like, Mr. Smith goes into every one of our buildings all during the week, during unoccupied hours. He finds that there are lights that are left on. He notifies HES, who was here earlier, who are the last persons in our building cleaning them, reminding them, please turn off the lights. So I'm not gonna say it's gonna go up 100%, but I'm gonna say that there's a culture that's been established that we don't leave lights on all night. The lights at Heidi Trask used to
The
be
culture
on
doesn't
all-
go away when he goes away, right? So if we have the culture and it remains and we can stop spending money on him, then that's
I'm
great.
just saying that using yet one specific comment, that when he goes away, it changes to 100%, I don't think that's the truth. Just like if the new leader comes in, the whole culture doesn't shift because one person. The culture's established.
Mr.
Yes,
Taylor.
without Cenergistics, we could probably still save some money. I'm not gonna say that we can't. But I'm also not gonna say that without Cenergistics, we're gonna double our expenses in energy or utility consumption.
But what I'm saying is if we don't, if the energy level doesn't, if the energy consumption doesn't double, then we'd still be saving money. Because we're paying them almost 50% of what we spend on energy.
No,
So
On
they,
electricity, sir.
okay, so we'll do water and we'll do the other stuff, although I have questions about the water that my colleagues on the board have already addressed. But my point is, it would have to go up significantly to basically double our energy consumption in order to make this worthwhile. As far as now, maybe the numbers I'm getting from finance aren't accurate. I don't know. But all I can do is examine the data that I'm getting from finance, right? Because I can't look at it myself, okay? So all I see is that there's, basically 100% energy consumption that increase that would have to happen in order for us to break even on this.
The last time we gave a presentation on this specific topic was April 2021. At that time, we ran that analysis of what your raw bills, your raw usage change has been versus the build. And we were actually billing less than what you actually saved. So like we said, I think we said you saved it's a rough number, let's just say 1.75 million for the heck of it. When you look at your actual reduction on your bills, like what were our bills then compared to our bills now, it was 2 million. So the difference there, why we're billing less is because we're backing out those things like you were saying with lights, HVAC equipment, those kind of things. So we're even saying we're saving you less than you actually are. Now again, like I said, that was April 2021, but the only thing that's really changed since then is your rates have gone up. So I would imagine that number would still, that ratio would still hold true.
Okay. To reiterate, I have two asks. One are the performance fee billing statements, or three technically, and then also the annual report that you had mentioned. And if I could get a copy of last year's, that'd be great. So that way I can digest it in the formats. So that way when I get this year's information, I'll be ahead of the power curve. And then the last is to explore the option in the contract renewal, if we can segregate a certain number of buildings, whether they're in one geographic area or maybe one or two buildings at each school, to take them out of the program to see the difference in the energy consumption in those buildings that are not part of the program.
I don't know if it'd be adequate for you, but we do have certain areas in the district that are already outside of the energy program. For example, some of the huts at Topsail Middle School, when I came in, I deemed them, this is nothing on Mr. Taylor, they were in a state of disrepair
Right.
that I deemed to be not
Not
safe
good
for
to
us
implement. I get
to
it.
implement. And so those, Mr. Taylor's had those refurbished, but they're still out of the energy program. So I don't know if that's enough.
But you need, so the purpose of my request is to have the ability to compare like buildings. right? So if you have a classroom that is identical or nearly identical to another classroom that's not in the program, and then we can actually measure with no confounding variables about, is this really saving us money? That's the intent of my ask, right? So if you, to the extent that you can get us information on that topic, I'd be greatly appreciative.
And based on some historical studies at Cenergistics, again, Cenergistics has done this study, whether or not we choose to believe them is on.
Right, well, they have a profit incentive to have a good study.
But based on their historical studies of school systems or other entities, clients who've gone away from the contract, it takes about 3 years and they return to the current or the baseline year usage. So just for your information, it's about a 2 to 3 year window before those baselines are seen again. Again, because of culture, of turning off the lights, encouraging people not to leave fans on all night long, to report a faucet that's leaking, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Well, let's, any other comments or questions?
So, Mr. Cordero, if you have follow-up questions, please, but.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any board member, please.
I'll let Mr. Taylor get me your contact information,
Yes.
and we'll work
I'm happy to
together.
work.
I don't want to cut you out, though. I mean,
No,
so
okay.
we'll copy you on everything.
Yeah, of course. He's the one with the knowledge. I mean, I just have a very high-level understanding of the program.
All right, was there a motion or is it just?
No, sir.
Okay,
No, sir.
all right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there any other business before we adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to consider the renewal of the Cenergistics contract.
I'll second.
Okay, we're making a motion to amend the agenda 14.2.
Yes, sir.
Effective December, correct?
Well, this is just
to amend the agenda right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
So have a motion to amend the agenda to add, did you say the termination of?
To consider renewal or non-renewal of the
Okay.
Cenergistics contract.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Have a second on the motion?
I did.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Hall. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor of amending the agenda 14.2, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. This time we're at 14.2. Mr. Cordero, since you made the motion, then I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion that the board notify through its attorney, Cenergistics, that we intend not to renew our contract at the next opportunity.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion concerning that?
I think we've discussed this in the past, but I just think that the $750,000 a year we're spending with them is not a wise expenditure of public monies, and that's the reason that I would recommend and vote for non-renewal.
Okay. Is there any other discussion?
Recommendations have not been provided as me and Ms. Burns were in strategic planning committee, as stated that they would.
Okay. And when does the contract, is it December when the contract ends?
Yep.
Sometime in December, yes, sir.
Sometime in December.
Yes, sir.
So we're saying that after the contract expires, then it would not be renewed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other discussion, board members? Not hearing any. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.